There's a myth that says that business sense and creative talents are mutually exclusive. And what this means is that most creative individuals, like designers, tend to focus more on the creative aspect of design than actually focusing on the business side of design. And today's episode of the podcast stands to debunk this particular myth, and I had a conversation with Abiola Adeosun, who is a brand and identity designer with keen interest for knowledge transfer. He's been privileged to speak at a number of design seminars, and today's conversation is about the business of design.
And then I realized that it was beyond freelancing, because I also freelanced online because of 2017. So I started picturing how to deal with clients, how to deal with the business sides of design. Because you can get a whole lot of clients to tell you, do this logo for me for 2,000 naira, do this logo for me for 3,000 naira. But it's more of finding your voice and finding your place and knowing what value you hold.
If this is your first time of listening to The Simple Creative, I welcome you specially. Thank you so much for listening, and I seriously hope that you learned something from today's episode. So enjoy the show. So welcome to the podcast. I'm very, very, happy to have you here.
Same here.
It's a privilege to know you and to have you come down to do this. So
thank you for having me.
It's about to be a very interesting conversation. So I hope people listening to will enjoy it. All right. So before the podcast starts, usually I'll give like a quick introduction of who you are, something detailed.
Okay.
But I still prefer people to hear it from you. You talk about yourself briefly, what you do, and just talk about your current work, where you're doing everything, and you basically.
Okay. So my name is Adeosun Abiola.
All right.
And a brand identity designer.
Okay.
And I'm a major in brand identity design, but minorly. Is that like minorly?
Anyone?
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I do UI UX too. So,
okay.
Basically what I do is I help brand find their visual placement, in the world of branding.
Okay.
And currently I work at a IT firm in Ilorin, where I serve as their web admin at the same time as an instructor. So I teach.
That's awesome.
So I teach IT. So.
All right, so you teach us here today. Okay,
Awesome.
It's time to learn. See, I got my pad, so
Okay.
I'm prepared. All right, so what made you really consider going into branding and identity from a start?
From a start.
Because one thing I've noticed is a lot of people, that wasn't their background.
Yeah, definitely.
Like for you now, what was your background? What did you start with?
Okay. Basically when I was little. Okay. I was more interested in fine art.
Okay.
So, parents, doctor, and all of that. So I finally, settled for computer science.
Okay.
And moving up from there, I was part of the fellowship in school as well, and then I was appointed as the media person.
Okay.
So that was how I got a bit of interest in graphic design, and up until now, I would say it was after service that I discovered that I was more of a branding person, artistic person. So I think branding is more like a voice for me.
All right, that's awesome. So what did you study? Like
I studied at Benin Republic. Okay, so we are the Francais guys. So we speak French.
Oh, you can speak French?
Literally, I could.
Can you try it?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, cool.
So
right.
s'il vous plaît.
All right. Well, I don't know what that means.
It's clear. All right. So I finally got into branding. That was 2017.
Okay.
So my PPA. So I was to take graphic design as an instructor, and web design as well, using content management system. So, but it was from there I started discovering that I was more of a branding person.
Okay.
And I started launching into clients projects and all of that. So
I'm also a branding person, and I would want to ask you this question.
Oh, great.
How's been the experience?
The experience so far, I would say awesome. But when it all started, it wasn't as awesome as I was told. Okay, well, and that's because of the experience that we had with clients and all of that. So so far it's been great.
Okay.
Because some of the learning process or procedures we've gone through over the years has really helped, So
that's really well, and I think the feeling is mutual, because when I got into this world of branding and everything, it wasn't as what I used to see and everything I used to hear. And I kind of felt like there was this misconception about what this thing actually is. For example, now if someone says I'm a freelancer, what does that really mean? Like, nobody really understands it, like when they want to start. But then the moment you get into it, you start to see that there are some things, if you had been told,
then you realize. Definitely.
So like, were there some that you were able to identify even while you started or before you started?
It was while I started, and then I realized that it was beyond freelancing, because I also freelanced online because of 2017. So I started picturing how to deal with clients, how to deal with the business sides of design, because you can get a whole lot of clients to tell you, do this logo for me for 2,000 naira, do this logo for me for 30,000 naira. But it's more of finding your voice and finding your place and knowing what value you hold in that particular field. I think that would really help you out on the journey straight up. So
I've realized that a lot of creatives don't want to really exercise their skill when it comes to business. But the thing is, if you call yourself a freelancer, then you should understand what business is, because that is what you're actually doing.
Definitely.
Yeah, you're a freelancer, but in the real sense of it, you're a business owner.
Definitely.
But then people don't even want to understand that, okay, there's the design, the business of design. Like, if you put everything together, you can't start creating value without actually wanting to make money.
Sure.
But then that shouldn't be the goal.
Sure.
The goal should be create the value and then let people actually come and say, okay, we want to pay you for this value. And over time, you start to discover that. Now, if you would really put together the things that you know now, and the things you knew when you started, what's the margin like?
Oh, come on. This is way past it, really. It's way past it, because then we were more of a pixel and vector person. We just know how to push shapes together to come up with a logo. But now it's beyond that. It's more about interpretation. It's more about what people see, perception of people about that icon you've created. So the margin is wide. Yeah, very wide.
Very wide. So how do you get your best ideas? I know this is just out of the blues, but it's just something to spice up the conversation.
How I get my ideas, basically, first is I do more of research, and I kind of want to get the definition of the brand name, why they're using the name in the first place. Because most of the time the names we get are the likes of I'm looking at a funny name to give a brand. Something Yoruba-ish name, and then you kind of wonder, what definition do you put into this? But
how do you interpret this?
How do you interpret this? But with the ones that have basic interpretations, I kind of look for synonyms of those words, and then kind of create an interpretation for it. And then from there, I move to, I'm a Pinterest guy. So I'm a Pinterest guy. So every now and then I pin stuffs into my board and all of that. So like you said, so if I get a brand name, what I do is I create a pin board for that brand. Then I lock it for just my own view, and then I just put as lot of so from there, then I can now move to conceptualization.
But like, how will you define this process? Because there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of work that actually goes into things like this. For me, I love doing the sketches by hand. But then if you ask someone else, like I've actually done this before. I messaged a popular Instagram designer, and I started to ask, I really want to understand the idea behind the design process, and he broke it down really well. But then for me, I didn't really find it convenient because it wasn't just my style. Like you probably create a pin board first, and then you listen to the business name, and then you try and look for other things online that you feel would look like I just felt I might not really work that way, and it doesn't work for everybody the same way. So for you, which one, like, what's your own particular process?
The conceptual process, usually. Though is usually boring.
From ground up.
It's usually, because that's the only way I can find what I really want to. Because again, one other thing again is, there was a training I took on identity design. So we're told to use the process like all through. It was rigorous, but it was helpful at the same time. So, and I would say I'll follow the conceptual process from research to sketching, and then from sketching, that's before the pinboard, and then we start to, vectorize.
So the conversation continues, and if you'd like to listen to the full conversation on any of your preferred podcast apps, the links are available in the description below. Also, if you'd like to find out more about today's guests, about their works and about their life, you can also find the links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would consider subscribing to this YouTube channel, that would be really amazing. That would really help me. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Peace. Oh, it recorded. Oh yes, it's working. All right, good. Yeah, I'll see you next Wednesday.